Hey, what's up, guys? This video I'm going to make is basically my starting to share some of my personal stories and experiences with you guys. A couple of you have asked me to do so. So the questions that I typically get are jail related, more so than anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you one of my crazy jail stories. So this particular story happened in a county jail. I was in a maximum security unit. There were 48 people within that unit. Generally, it's the most violent among the whole inmate population for that jail. And there was a lot of tension there. There were fights all the time. There were stabbings all the time. There was so much gang bullshit and a lot of things happening there. And, I live better than the majority in situations like that. Mainly because I know how to communicate, I know how to move, and I get along with people. So it was to my huge benefit also that I'm not a gang member. I'm not associated with any particular gang. So as a result of that, I'm cool with everybody generally, and mainly all the gang leaders, I became friendly with, and that allowed me to make peace or make war oftentimes. So I had a little bit of power in there in that regard. So one day, a Guatemalan young guy comes in his early 20s, and he's there for like 3 or 4 days. I got my eyes on him. I'm watching how he moves and how he interacts. He asked one of my people to meet with me, so I allowed for it. He came to my cell, introduced himself, we spoke, and we became friendly over the next couple days. And probably like within his first week there, so within his first 7 days, he came to me again and he said, Hollywood, I need you to do something for me. And so we're having this conversation in Spanish. He's telling me, I need a weapon. I need a shank. And my response was, well, what's happening? Tell me what's going on. I'll help you, but I need to understand what the problem is. He wouldn't tell me. He was intent on handling it himself. He said, I don't need any backup. I don't need anybody's help. I'll handle my own business. I just need this weapon. I explained to him that that's not how it's going to work. There's a lot more beyond that. I don't just give a weapon to fucking anybody not knowing what the fuck is going to happen. Who are you going to use that weapon against and for what reason? The repercussions of that, had I given it to him, could have been huge. Not only for me, but for the majority of my people on my side, who I feel somewhat responsible for in some sense. So this thing could have turned into a war had I just given him that knife. I said no to him. I tried to get the information out of him. He wouldn't do it. I said no. I thought that was the end of it. This is close to the time that we were locking in for the night. Apparently, he then went to one of my other people, guy right below me, who I was very, very tight with, like a brother to me, Mexican gang leader. So he went to him. This guy didn't know that I had already said no. So he kind of, didn't give him the full context of it. He said, I already spoke to Hollywood about it, and basically he gave him the short of it and said, I need a weapon. So the Mexican guy just gave it to him, thinking nothing. He's not as calculating as I am, and not as thoughtful in that regard. And he was also under the impression that it was cool with me, which was a mistake on his part. He should have never done that. He should have made sure face to face and had that conversation with me. Anyway, he gave him a shank, big fucking knife, banger, and we lock in for the night. The next morning, something very unusual occurred in the sense that I'm never up for breakfast, right? So I had breakfast like 7 a.m., whatever time. I sleep through that. Everybody knows that. Nobody makes noise in my area. They keep the TV volume down until like 11 o'clock when I get up. That day, the night prior, another one of my people who I was very cool with, who I respected, a Puerto Rican guy, came up to me and said, listen, Hollywood, I need to talk to you. Can we talk in the morning during breakfast time? I told him, look, I'm not really getting up for no bullshit. What's going on? Tell me now. He asked me again. As a courtesy, out of respect for him, I said, okay, I'll get up and we'll talk. So I'm up. I'm out of the cell. I'm in the unit on the ground floor. It's a 2-tier unit with cells wrapped around. And I remember me and the Puerto Rican guy now are standing on the ground floor. I'm drinking a cup of coffee, talking to him about whatever he's telling me. As this is happening, I look up on the second floor and I see the Guatemalan guy, who I'm also cool with. I see his cell door open and I see him stumble out and lean against the rails. As soon as I see that, I see his cellmate, right, another gang member, different gang, Spanish Nieta, come out and square up with him. Now these two guys are squared up and they're fighting. I noticed right away there's something wrong with this Guatemalan guy because he's off balance and he's fucked up and he can barely stand. He looks like he's dazed. They start fighting and, the Guatemalan's trying his best to fight, but I knew something was wrong. I didn't go up because it was still a fair fight, and it's not my place. That's not my belief model to interfere and to create a group-on-group battle for no reason. You have a problem with another man, you fucking handle it. And that was my mindset. So there was no reason for me to interfere. We don't jump people. They're fighting. The button gets pushed. The CO's pushed this panic button where the goon squad comes running in. As that happened, they ran right upstairs to the second tier. I'm watching this whole thing. And I see, they stopped fighting and one of these huge COs just tackled, my friend into a wall, into the end of the cell block. He hit the wall, and when he hit the wall, I just saw blood shoot out all over the place from his mouth and his nose, and I knew what happened. He got taken out. I thought he was dead. I really thought he died as a result of that. He survived. He got like 95 staples going down his whole body to close him back up from what they had to do to save him. And what happened was he had the shank. He was having a problem with the cellmate, with the other guy. Cellmate got the weapon from him somehow, and while he was sleeping, right, stabbed the shit out of him while he was laying in his bunk. Stabbed him 9 times, all in his stomach. And that's, the point where I observed, where he came out, stumbled out, and they started fighting. So I never really knew what the reason was. I tried to find out. The other guy went to lockup. I ended up running into him, the guy who did the stabbing, months later in medical. I was working a medical unit and I saw him in there and I tried to find out what was happening and I realized this guy was just crazy. He didn't know what the fuck he was saying or what the fuck I was talking about. So because of that, I decided not to get revenge on him because my plan when I saw him in medical was to at least break his fucking arms through the bar. I was going to grab him through the bar and pull him and fucking snap his shit. But I didn't because I realized he's got psychological issues. The other guy who got stabbed, the Guatemalan, I actually ended up getting him to beat his charges and go home as a result of that stabbing. I was in communication with his family and I advised them in how to word certain writings and present them to the jail and to the state with regard to what happened. And as a result of that, he was able to put enough pressure where they dropped the majority of his charges and he went home. So it turned out to be all right. But the point of the story is, that I felt real bad about what happened. I felt like it was something that should not have happened. I do believe I was right in not giving him that weapon. And part of the reason was because of what happened. The other guy, the Mexican guy, was wrong. He fucked up. He fucked up in first listening to this guy. He should have known never to listen to somebody. Never assume something is true and coming from me unless you hear it from my fucking mouth and you see it for yourself. So luckily, the Guatemalan guy didn't die. But it was just one of the crazy stories of the hundreds that I have that I thought I'd share with you. I know you guys have asked me before. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks.